Just to let people know that we are on live stream. This is the Monday, October 26, 2015, and it's the presentation from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute on the Maghreb Blueprint teaching. We can make the announcement now that welcome everyone to the Monday, October 26th presentation of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's the Maghreb Blueprint Teaching Week, and this is the first installment of the Free Energy in Exchange for World Peace theme. And I believe we're ready to begin now with Mr. Keshe at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Are you ready, Mr. Keshe?
So, good morning, good day to you whenever and wherever you listen to these broadcasts. Today and this week altogether is a special time for the foundation and maybe the change of course for humanity. We promised, we gave the governments 10 days and the 10 days finishes today. As of today, we start distributing the units which has been purchased by the foundation. But the problem is, as we even have seen with the governmental demonstrations in where the ambassadors took the units, they plugged in the system the wrong way and they just created the spark and they had to wait for it to repair. So what we see is to achieve proper use and secondly, distribution of the knowledge the correct way, we need to teach. This is a new technology, it's a new environment of science, and not many people know how to use the systems. So if we put the units out the way we are doing now, then we find out that a lot of you make systems or use the systems and you see it doesn't work or you think it doesn't work or you damage the system without you knowing. So what we've done this week, we have put and specialized this week for one thing, and that is to teach totally about the new plasma system. What is the new plasma system? Why you need to know. If you buy a computer, you spend time learning how to use it, how to program it. If you buy a new dishwasher, you do the same. You learn the manual. This is not a normal power supply system. This is a new plasma technology. It has to be done the way it's designed. It has to be understood to be able to use correctly. You can't just plug it in and say it doesn't work. Believe me, it will not work the minute you plug it in because you're not looking in the right place. The difference with this technology is that you have to understand the work of plasma. You have to understand how plasma interacts. You have to understand how the interaction of the plasma can lead to, do you want to take that?
We are on the backup right now, Rick. So we are on the 4G network as backup.
You've been asking if these systems are 2 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt. These systems are, and in the coming time, we show you, meet all sorts of demands. Whatever you demand from it in time, once you learn it, you will see you can achieve it. The present unit released works maximum at 2 kilowatt. What this means, you cannot overload it for over 2 kilowatt. Otherwise, you're going to damage it very much in line with your adjustment is not right. So what you're going to get is 2 kilowatt is your maximum. So when you do 2 kilowatt, oh, I'm useless with the pen. You want me to use the pen? I use the pen for you. No problem. Should be better. Okay. So what happens is you connect the system, you expect 2 kilowatt from it, and then you see it doesn't work. When you plug your system in, when you receive it, you leave it. It's like when you buy a freezer or a fridge, they tell you when you move a fridge or a freezer to a house, you got to leave it 24 hours to climatize before you can plug it in. So with this new system, you plug your system in, and depends where you put it. You have to ask an electrician, somebody who understands how to connect the first units, to connect it. When you connect it to the plug, you leave your unit, and then you add a load of about 1 kilowatt to it, and you leave it.
This would be the Italy internet. This happens.
Which will be on the internet. We are not sending any manuals through the box which you receive. Your manual is on the internet. You receive an access, you go onto the website, you download, you read what you got to do step by step, and it gets uploaded continuously. So you can connect the unit directly to the main at the point of the box, your junction, or you can put it anywhere in the house, and from that point where you connected it, your unit, you can take power from it. It's very simple. The system, you plug this into the main, or you change this to fit into the main system which comes from the grid, and you take your supply from here. Or you connect this end to the back of your meter, that where the main supply comes into the house. So the plug fits here, and your plug fits here. That's to the main, and this side is for your use. Then over week 2 weeks, you increase the power to 2 kilowatt resistive. Non-resistive, you can go to as much as the system can take, 2, 3, 4 kilowatt. 2 kilowatt is like heaters and anything which you might have. So for LED lights, for computers, for the standard what do you call it, resistive conditions, brushless coil, like the ones on the computer, fans and the rest. After a week or so, you find out more or less your energy you supply is zero, which means whatever you use, you don't pay for. It's not that you're stealing, it's that the system starts releasing its energy. As I said, yes. Is it better? So what you see, you lost the internet. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. Okay. So I do apologize. I have a very bad cold over the weekends, and it's going to be with me all week by the look of it. So what happens is that you use the power both in two ways. You have a DC and you have an AC. Your system on a DC, it's more or less 3, 4, 5 kilowatts. We don't have that much use. We have maybe 1 or 2 kilowatts in the house, which we use, like the fridge and that kind of thing. The resistive loads, like the heaters, you have to step up slowly to 2 kilowatt. And if you use your system, which is overloading, the system has been adjusted with this resistant, or what they call a heat measurement device inside, which means it's short circuit. It cuts it off till the load is taken off. So you cannot overheat the system. The system internally has a heat resistor gauge that does not allow you to go over 55 degrees, that it cannot damage the system. It cuts, you leave it for a while, it comes back on again, and it goes. If you plug the system in and it blows out, you hear a big spark, this is normal. This is a transition from plasma to matter state at the point where these wires are in the matter state, interact with the material inside, which are not in matter state, they're in the plasma state. So if you get that, you just leave it for a while, 24 hours later, the layers will build themselves up, and then you can reconnect it. Am I correct? Armor knows it because they did it in Russia when he was there in Armenia. One of the officials just plugged it in. They had a big bang, not it worked. And the next day, systems start working again. Few hours. It's the beauty of the system. It's what do you call it, solid state matter. More or less, you cannot do anything with it. We know there is a possible, in the first batch, weakness, which is getting rectified, should not be, is where the wires from these units can be overloaded in respect to the nano-coated material, and then it all needs to be replaced. There's no problem with it. But in a second cycle, which is already going through the production, this has been rectified as well. This is what we know. We haven't seen any problem with it, but if it happens, it's just the diameter of the wires are slightly different, and that could give you a spark. But the whole problem is, for you to be able to use these units, we'll spend a whole week educating you. This week is called the blueprint. The standard teaching of the Keshe Foundation on the teaching masters this week is stopped because it's vital and important for 2 points. Once you learn to use this, we show you by the end of the week, we have against up to 10 kilowatt resistive, but it needs a special process. It needs a special setting. It cannot be done with one unit. We have tested it, so we are testing further. So you can even, in a further development, push the use to over 20, 30 kilowatt resistive. But it needs time. You need about 3 weeks minimum. In this thing, you have to come back on it. Oh, I'll get educated with it. You need 3 weeks. Or I go this way. You need 3 weeks to get the system set in the house. Minimum. What does this mean? You add a little, you wait for a week, and then you add another load, you wait another week, and then gradually you take the whole household in. The reason being, as we will explain, is that the house, all your wiring in the house needs to be nano-coated. If you unplug, you'll find out you start again, but instead of taking 3 weeks, it might take 3 minutes, 3 hours to reuse the same system. You'll find out, this is what we see now in the trials around the world be done, it's better to leave the light of the house on all the time because you keep the power going. You don't use anything. Your meters from the governmental side gradually will come to a halt, depending how much power you put on the system, which means you don't see any more consumption than what you usually do. These are plasma reactors. These are not plasma generators. Generators in the future will be totally different. In the generators which you are working on, you do not have the connection to the government. You are independently supplied, and that will take some time for us. We're still researching on it to be able to deliver a simple box that can deliver you independent of the resources of national government. But what it will bring you, something simple, is that what we have seen with 2 kilowatt, as I explained, you only pay 40% of the bill after about 3 weeks. We see now with a new setup, much more reduction after 2 or 3 weeks, which means if you leave your heater on whole day or your air condition on whole day, after once it's done, you will not add, should not add any more to your bill because the system gets nano-coated, system gets superconductivity, and it works on its own. The reason we connect in this technology to the main, as I've explained in the presentation, we need the enhancement from the phase shift of the 50 hertz. Once we can complete this without any other units but plasma units, we will release the new generators on their own. We can now connect the system to a generator of 50 hertz, but independent of the grid. But this is not the purpose. Everything which we'll market will be totally plasma technology dependent. So we are not going outside to look, to compensate, or to make a shortcut. We teach you today from basic. Please try to make as many units as you can for yourselves or for your neighbors. Or if you start developing this technology, manufacturing them, using the blueprint, come back to the Keshe Foundation, work with our ethos that we don't work for the profit. We are there to share the technology with the rest of the world. We have put parameters, the ones who want to carry the logo of the Keshe Foundation SSI, and those parameters we keep to. The people who received the first batch of the units this week, you will see it says is used at your own risk, because we had to do this as the European licensees certificate, American license certificate are all due within the next few days. When we receive it, we send through the same post a copy to you that your system is certified. It covers all the rules and regulations of EU regulation at the moment, so everything is within the standard. There is no radioactive, there is no magnetic field resonance outside the parameter of the box or in the box that can obstruct the use of it. Don't forget, there is international regulation. And that international regulation says you can build whatever you want for your home inside your home. So no one can stop you once we finish by this Friday to build a system for yourself at home. So we teach you to be able to make yourself independent of energy in a vast way. And if you have a generator, you don't need anything here. You're totally independent. If you can put the generator with 10, 20 neighbors and connect to it, each one with the same unit connected, you'll find out you're totally independent. Your fuel is just to create a signal. This is not a signal generator. Signal generator does not enhance the plasma work. It has to be the way it comes through the current flow phasing. This is the main important things which you'll come to understand. So what we do today, for the first couple of hours, we try to go to the process, the first step of what you need to make your system. And then in the afternoon, we go through the session of teaching you what plasma technology is. It's no use you just building something without knowing. And if you understand the total understanding of the new plasma technology, then you know what you're doing. You trust in your own knowledge to expand it. You can develop more systems for humanity, not relying on the Keshe Foundation to do it for you. So tomorrow we go after the first step into the next step of the blueprint, how you assemble it, how you go to assemble it. And then on Wednesday, we try to show you how to connect it, the connections.
Again, this is the backup internet.
Offices. You show us how you've done what you've done the past 3-4 days. And then we put the whole thing into test on Thursday, Friday. That we all see it works, if there are any pitfalls. And from Friday on, human race is free of the traps of energy in so many ways, even though you make connections to your power supply for your signals. The power generation system is slightly different, and hopefully we can release that in the coming weeks too. Don't forget, when you're building these systems, have one thing in mind. These systems are the beginning of what we call revolution in space technology. At the moment, for you, it'll be very difficult to understand how to adapt to these and how to use them. I prefer my board. What have we done? I have put my button that way. I have a bigger dot. I've changed my bigger dot. It doesn't go. This board has been here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now we start using it because his leg arrived, that he can stand on his own. So what happened is very simple. In plasma technology, plasma the way you've done, we explained from the beginning of the teaching today, is very simple. All you are used to at the moment is receiving energy through copper wires. All of us receive energy through cables, through different kind of wires, different strength, different number of what I call wire, depending on the gauge, or a single one which is thicker. But at the end of the day, all the power supply today, to our knowledge, is done through the wire, copper wire, sometimes aluminum. So all our work is to work around this. What this means is that if you take this wire and now know what it means, what it's made of, how it works, you'll find out the human race have used this poor chap totally the wrong way, the worst way they could use. It has so much power that through our lack of knowledge, we didn't know how to use the chap. Now we know. When you look at the system, by the time we come to Friday, you will say, what a waste of 100 years of copper work. We have wasted time, but it's part of the development of the knowledge of human race, which has brought us this change. There is nothing new in the cycle. It's just now we know how to use it more efficiently. One of the problems which have not come to us, and we did not realize what to do with it, is being that this material is in a solid state of matter. What does it mean? If we choose the copper, this is the wire. You have to remember, I'm not Picasso, so you got to live with what I do. So this is your wire. This is what we have. All we did, we put current through it, that by the vibration of the electrons in this wire, we managed to put some energy as current in. Oh, we go back. Doesn't matter. We managed to put energy in, and what we did, it was very easy. We got something out, but what it was irrelevant. Because we knew we lose some energy along the line, and we always considered some losses. As we know, the losses down the copper line became the dispute between Tesla and Edison. Edison tried to transfer the DC with the huge losses that every 10 kilometers so he had to put a power station to boost the energy. Tesla came with phasing it using the vibration. So in so many ways, all we relied on was on a vibration.
Okay, so I'm going to stop Mr. Keshe just as soon as he comes back. Let me just go back on to Zoom here. I'm going to stop Mr. Keshe as soon as he comes back so that we can try to get the internet worked out. Fabio, can you pull the Ethernet on that, please?
Is Fabio there? Yes. Can you hear me or are we getting disconnected?
We're getting disconnected. I'm going to try to get that worked out, but it might bring out the camera computer. So if we can just hold on for 30 seconds or so, I want to see if we can get it onto the backup system itself.
Okay.
Without...
While you are there, I'm going to perfect my art of drawing.
Okay. And I think it's your tie that's causing a problem. So if you can stand back just a little bit, it will probably...
My tie?
Yes.
On
the for the touch screen I'm talking about. I think it's
when I press the screen.
Yes.
You see, modern technology is all not free of problems, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so let's try to do that. Just give us one moment here, please.
Are you ready?
No, just one moment. Fabio, are you still there?
I don't get my line. What is the problem? Okay, I got my line back.